Una palabra. Charo! Battle of the Network shows. Join Rick Brooks and Mike Kogel as they explore the TV of the 70s and 80s through hand-picked episodes of their favorite and not-so-favorite series.
Welcome to another Battle of the Network shows. I'm Mike.
And I'm Rick. Hello, everyone.
And we're in our second week of our sort of unintentional grouping of international related shows. Mm-hmm. Well, this show did air in America. I think I'm going to let you introduce it because you picked it. I was unaware of this. I don't know that I would have picked it.
Right away, folks. Mike is shifting the blame onto me. You know... Okay, go ahead with what you were going to say. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'm done.
Well, I was actually thinking when I was watching this special, it's a variety special. My big takeaway from this is that Mike's going to really get revenge on me in season 8 because this wasn't my idea to cover this, and I made him sit through this. In my defense, it's only a half hour long.
Yes.
Which is unusual for variety shows.
Yeah.
But we're going to look at one of the pivotal television figures of our Battle of the Network shows era, and that is Charo.
Yes.
And the name of the program is Charo. It's a television special, a variety show that it aired May 24th, 1976, but I think it was burned off at this time. I think it was originally going to air in the fall, it looks like. Maybe it was intended as a pilot for a variety series, and it didn't really go anywhere. So this is kind of a one-shot deal.
Did you see, by the way, I already forgot the name of it, but that she had a sitcom that didn't get...
Yes, Charo and the Sergeant, which sounds great.
Yes, it does.
So, yeah, like the premise is Charo is basically Charo, and she marries a button-down conservative military guy, and hilarity ensues.
It seems like it would.
Yeah, and so apparently it didn't make it, but I read that episodes aired on the Armed Forces Network, so it exists somewhere, so add this to our What I'd Like to See.
Yes, I would like to see that.
Although, I will say after watching 30 minutes of Charo, and doing a lot of Charo-related research for the podcast, including watching other Charo appearances. Yeah. A little of Charo goes a long way.
I could see that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, regardless of what I feel about this particular show, I came off kind of admiring her a little bit. I mean, clearly she's very musically talented. Mm-hmm. And I think it's pretty clear she's a pretty smart lady. Yeah. Who figured out, well, I could just play guitar... or maybe she figured out in conjunction with her then husband, Xavier Cugat, I could just do this, or I could be this outlandish person and pretend like I'm a dummy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do much, much more. And she did.
She went from like a performer to a character. She made herself a character and became really an icon. I mean, I say that sort of half jokingly, but she was everywhere, especially in the... like that sweet spot of our show, the 1975 to 1985, or late 70s, early 80s, she was everywhere. And she's still very well known all around the world. So yeah, it turned into a pretty good career. I guess the obvious comparison for today would be like Sofia Vergara. Yeah. Who plays up her accent and plays a persona that really I don't think is at all like her, but kind of emphasizes that. Although Charo's a little bit, she plays up the accent and supposed lack of English as part of her character, but she also has this, guitar playing that she really can play guitar.
Yes, and she can sing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, you kind of have to see Charo to understand her, but she was like just a one-name phenomena, but she was like could be an instant punchline, like people would know her, but she became famous a lot for like being on talk shows and guest shots, things like that, as opposed to having like a long-running TV gig, for whatever reason, but she was definitely ubiquitous.
Yeah, and one of the few guest stars on The Love Boat to always play the same character, right?
Yeah,
she basically played a version of her.
Yeah, she was a singer.
Called Charo on the show?
Unfortunately, no. Yeah. She was April Charo, actually. No, it wasn't April Charo, but which would be great. But yeah, she was a stowaway who sort of became like a singer and got a job being a singer on the cruise line. Yeah. After stowing away. So she irritated Captain Stubing at first, but, won him over. And she won everybody over, really. Yeah. But she had this kind of persona of being, sexy, but in sort of that stereotype Latina bombshell way.
Yeah.
So sort of like not knowing that she's sexy, but shaking things around, and everybody else kind of like raising their eyebrows, but her not really understanding that.
Right. I bet she might have annoyed Captain Stubing, but I doubt she annoyed Gopher and Doc very much.
She did not. And in fact, just recently I was watching her second appearance, and she comes back, and they're like, Julie's like, hey, guess who's back? And, they Gopher and Doc are like, April, and they're just like not leering right away, but just sort of like genuinely, oh, April, great, April's back, and she comes back and she's like a little down or whatever. And I think they say something like, one of them says like, is it just me or is there something a little down about her or something like that? And Gopher's like looking at her dreamily, and as she walks away, he's like, well, yeah, maybe, but to me, one coochie's better than no coochie at all or something like that. Because her catchphrase was coochie coochie.
Yes.
And I don't know what that means. And I saw a clip on YouTube of her, that there exists a clip of her explaining to Larry King what coochie coochie really means. And I purposely did not play it. I don't want to know. That, to me, that would ruin everything on many levels.
The title of one of her albums, too. And I was going to listen to some of her music.
Oh, yeah. Yes. You are, as we should point out, you are a resident musicologist here on Battle of the Network shows. So I was looking forward to this.
Unfortunately, Spotify was limited in what they had. Like, I wanted to listen to like a guitar album, but also from that era. Mm-hmm. So they had a guitar album from like the 90s. And I started to listen to one song, and then she was singing, and I was just like, yeah, this is not what I wanted to do. They had a couple of they had the Coochie Coochie album and another like disco one like that. And I wasn't in the mood for that. So
right.
Maybe I'm not promising, but I'll try to do some more digging, and maybe I can write something on the website.
Right.
Which, can I take a moment here?
Oh, sure.
Speak about the website. Reminder that we have a website, battleofthenetworkshows.com, where Rick especially adds a lot of content, including top 10 lists. And the week we're recording this, he had something that especially amused me, a YouTube clip. And he does the show notes, and the show notes are often quite entertaining, too. They're informative, but they're also entertaining.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that, and I'd like people to look at it as something that's entertaining and informative, and not just a way to cover our butts after we screw something up on the show that I have to clarify later. But yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, like the show notes for the 321 Contact episode, he wrote a little amusing thing about Dennis Weaver and whether he appeared on the show or not. Now let's get back to Charo.
Yes.
The incomprehensible Charo.
Yes, the incomprehensible Charo.
Yes.
As she was billed at the beginning of this special. And we watched this on YouTube. Yeah. I'm assuming you watched on YouTube and not with a copy from your vault of archival 1970s TV material.
Right.
Your kinescopes.
My kinescopes. What are they? Quarter-inch tape?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, and I watched I know it's the version you watched because it's the link you sent me, the one that had commercials.
Yes, the original commercials.
Not very many commercials.
No, I was actually kind of disappointed at that.
But I think as we go through, we should
point out
mention those too.
Yeah, I think so. So this was the Charo TV special. It premiered May 24th, 1976, Monday night on ABC. Would you like to know what else was on that night?
I would, of course.
So ABC followed Charo with the Andromeda Strain, 1971 theatrical movie. NBC had the John Davidson Show, followed by championship boxing, Muhammad Ali against Richard Dunn. So that was interesting. I mean, you associate Muhammad Ali with ABC, like in his glory days, but he was on prime time on NBC. And one thing that was interesting is the version we saw, I believe, must have been a West Coast feed. Because they say that Ali won the fight, basically.
Yeah.
Then I was looking back, and it's like, wait a minute, how did they know? Oh, this is a West Coast broadcast.
It was KABC.
Yeah. And on CBS, and these were all like reruns. So this is what makes me think you think May is sweeps month, but it must have been like just after. So maybe they were kind of burning off this TV special. But CBS had its lineup of Rhoda, Phyllis, All in the Family, Maude, and Medical Center. So several of those shows we've already done here. Several more we might do in the future. But that was the CBS lineup on this Monday night. But Charo kicked everything off at 8. And then Andromeda Strain took the rest of the night for ABC.
Wow. 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe it was presented with frequent commercial interruptions. Yes. Tonight's movie will be presented with frequent commercial interruption.
We didn't put many in the Charo thing, so.
Yes. Sponsors ran away from Charo and towards the Andromeda Strain.
The Charo probably with longer commercial breaks could have stretched out to an hour.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
so.
that was it.
Yeah.
We can't even get people to buy ads for this.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, and one of the producers of this TV special, Bob Booker, also was one of the 6 listed writers. Did you notice the writers for this, by the way?
The only one that jumped out was Bruce Valanche.
Yes, the incomparable Bruce Valanche.
Right, this.
But one of the producers on this was also one of the producers of the Paul Lynde Halloween special.
What a track record.
Yes, we're rarefied territory here. And I think he was later one of the driving forces behind, wait for it, Fallops, Bleeps, and Blunders on ABC. Not even practical jokes and bloopers, but the imitation bloopers show.
Yes.
So that's great.
Man.
So this is some good stuff here.
Probably a millionaire.
Yes. He should be. Of course, he started out as a billionaire.
Right.
And then he got into TV. Now he's a millionaire. So this broadcast kicked off with an ad for Magic Mountain, which I think was Six Flags deal.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was Six Flags / Magic Mountain.
Yeah.
Which always confused me growing up because I didn't have a Six Flags near me. But
yeah.
I think looking back, that there was one in California, so that kind of makes sense.
I think so. And then that's where Spinal Tap performs.
Oh, okay.
And near the end of that
good
movie.
call. Yeah. Forgot about that. Yeah, Charo and Spinal Tap would be quite a combination. Wow. They could each bring out some stuff in each other, I think.
Yeah. Was she on the Muppet Show? I bet she was.
She must have been. I don't remember it, but she must have been.
Seems like a perfect combination.
I mean, she was on Love Boat like 8 times. She was on Fantasy Island at least 2 times because I've watched those recently. So she had to have been on the Muppet Show during those 5 or 6 seasons at least once, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she was never guest hosted Saturday Night Live though. I don't really see her fitting with the Lorne Michaels sensibility.
Right.
Like if she were around, if she had come up in the 1950s, they would have all grown up watching her and loved her and had her on. But she was probably too much kitsch for Saturday Night Live in the 1970s.
Yeah. She was on Laugh-In a lot though, right?
Yes, she was. Yes. Yeah, and she made a lot of appearances on Tonight Show. I watched a clip earlier of her with Burt Reynolds guest hosting the Tonight Show, and she plays guitar. And this is from like 1971. Wow. So it's pretty cool. Like Alex Karras was the other guest next to her, and he's smoking the whole time, and Charo's interacting with him and Burt Reynolds, and Ed McMahon is there. But, so here's actually, before we really get into the heart of this show, one thing is some of Charo's origins are shrouded in mystery. And much like not wanting to watch that Larry King clip, I want to keep it that way a little bit. Me personally.
Right.
You may have done extensive Charo research, and that's fine. But I kind of deliberately, like, she was born in Spain.
Yes.
Charo is not her real name.
Right. Her real name is like really long.
Yes. Much like it seems like every character she plays has like 10 names. Kind of as a joke. She married Xavier Cugat, the band leader.
Yeah.
Divorced him, and it seems like that may have been just a ruse to get her into the country.
Mm.
Her age is a big controversy.
Yes.
So that's one thing I will comment on. I don't really want to know, but her listed birth date, or official birth date year is 1951, which would make her 25 or so about the time this aired.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of her, again, it was dated 1965. It looked like her on Hollywood Palace, and there was no way she was 14.
Right, yeah.
And she would have married Xavier Cugat when she was like 15 too, which is possible, but I think she was probably born in like 1941, and I think a lot of other sources say 1946.
Yeah. Yeah, those seem more realistic.
And it's interesting,
it doesn't
actually.
matter,
If you see the old clip of her, her look is different. I mean, you can tell just like the makeup and stuff, she hasn't quite crafted that look.
Yeah.
Like a few years later, she would be on Laugh-In, and she would really start developing that really exaggerated, like giant hair and big makeup and everything like that.
Right,
So.
Yeah. Maybe she's immortal.
Could be.
The immortal Charo.
She's still around now and still touring and performing, so good for her. I do kind of like to think of her as some kind of otherworldly, or just having sprung up from some primordial
made out of
substance.
clay.
Yes, I don't know, but
Xavier Cugat. I don't know. Created her in a cauldron.
Yeah. Wow. Xavier Cugat apparently was a lot more interesting character than I thought.
That's weird too. Like, that's a name I know, but I couldn't tell you anything about him or what he looks like or anything.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh yeah.
Well, he was no Jose Iturbi, I'll tell you that. So Charo's special.
Yes.
She's introduced by the announcer as the incomprehensible Charo.
Yeah.
Then she gives a monologue, and we're introduced to her band leader.
Yeah, that was cool.
One of my favorite characters, Frank DeVol, who was on Fernwood Tonight later as an on-air persona, playing essentially who he is here doing that role, but he was a very deadpan, happy, kind, and his mirth makers.
And, of course, the composer of My Three Sons theme.
Yes.
And, I didn't know, but the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, he's a brilliant man, and a very talented performer as well.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see him here. And the monologue, it's doing a lot of, like, she's interacting with the announcers. Anything you'd like to say about the monologue, Mike?
Well, here's she's dressed in a tux, and she says she's trying to dress like the girl next door. Mm-hmm. And David Michaels, the announcer, is, he's like, well, I'm curious what girl you live next door to.
Yeah.
And she's Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
She doesn't look like Alice Cooper.
No. That makes no sense at all.
No. She also does a Jimmy Cagney impression.
Yeah.
And...
You dirty rat. Yes. You dirty rat.
After, David Michaels wants to know her first impressions of coming to America. Mm-hmm. She's like, I don't do impressions. And
yeah.
Some joke about Xavier Cugat. She brings out her Chihuahua and Frank DeVol, or she pronounces it DeBall or something. There's like an inflation joke and a Howard Cosell joke.
Yeah. The Chihuahua basically barks at, snaps at whoever asks her a question, and Frank DeVol asks her, what do you think of Howard Cosell?
That's right, yeah.
So rough.
And, that's about it.
Yeah, yeah. It's standard stuff.
Yeah. The one thing that stood out to me, the backdrop, it seems very old, like vaudeville or just old-fashioned, or like it's the Jack Benny TV show or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. They just went to some theater.
Yeah.
That was what was there.
Yeah, I didn't think. I thought it was seemed pretty similar to maybe variety shows of that era, maybe, but then it was a little generic. Yeah, it wasn't like uniquely Charo, or didn't have like a big.
Her should have like her face on it or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't put a lot into that. I think that's actually a good point. Now that I think about it.
But she was excited to be there.
She was, yes.
She finally got her show. And then we get her first song.
Yes, a mega hit of the day, "Love Will Keep Us Together."
And who did the original?
Captain and Tennille.
Oh, I should know that, of course.
Yes,
as a resident musicologist.
Yeah. Well, maybe
or just as doing my due diligence and taking the 30 seconds I would have.
That's all right. We haven't yet covered the Captain Tennille show on the podcast, but maybe we will someday.
But it's nice, and she's just singing that, and of course she's now in one of her sexy outfits.
Yeah, and dancing around,
and there are like 4 conga players on stage.
Yeah,
plus the orchestra wherever they are,
and birds like parrots.
Yeah, are they real?
I think some of them were, and some of them weren't.
Okay, because I only noticed one that looked very much just like a wooden parrot or something.
Yeah, it may have been. It might have been one ringer real parrot in there, and the others were stage parrots, but I'm not sure. But yes, it was an interesting backdrop.
But I thought it was okay.
It was a spirited rendition of it.
Yeah,
I imagine everybody must have been sick of hearing that song though back then. Because I think Captain Tennille on their show, which would probably be about the same time as this aired, but I think they played that or some version of that I think that was their de facto theme song actually. So man, I'm kind of sick of that song now, to be honest, and it's 40 years later. But it was a different take on it.
Yeah,
I think Charo and these she would do a lot of cover versions on these things. I don't remember seeing a lot of her appearances of her doing like an original Charo composition.
Right. And then we get our first commercial break, and we have 2 commercials. One is for Wintergreen Lifesavers.
Yeah, that was a very heartfelt ad. Wouldn't you say?
Like a kid playing hockey, and I forget the exact circumstances, but they lost.
Yeah.
Might have been his fault. I think it was. Maybe he was the goalie or something.
Yeah, I think he was.
And his grandfather comforts him by giving him a wintergreen lifesaver.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, when I lost to so-and-so's, I had to eat a whole roll.
Yeah.
And the kid's like, do you have a whole roll with you? And that's about it.
Yeah.
And so I forget what the slogan was.
Lifesavers, a part of living. It's like, whoa. This is kind of poignant for a Lifesavers commercial.
Yeah, I don't remember them being so poignant.
Yeah, no, they abandoned that.
Especially the wintergreen. I always felt like the mint lifesavers were like they were like adult lifesavers.
Yeah. Well, apparently you can glow in the dark, or they glow in the dark.
That's
Not
right.
you yourself can't glow in the dark.
Yeah. But the little circle in the...
Yeah, maybe you can.
Maybe. Eat enough of them.
Yeah, you'll glow in the dark.
Just glue them to your face.
Yeah.
Just, lick them a little bit and they'll stick to your face.
All right. Could work.
I'm not a huge fan of those.
Wintergreen?
Yeah.
Wasn't even sure they still made them.
I don't know if they do.
In general, you don't see them anymore.
I don't know if, did they make Lifesavers? Yeah, I guess
they do make Lifesavers, I believe.
It's just another thing that was like was advertised a lot and stuff.
Yeah, you know what the other ones were what were the fruit ones with the horse on them, the zebra? That was always advertised in comic books. They called themselves like gosh. They weren't Lifesavers. I think they were like the main competitor to Lifesavers. Okay. They were like ring-shaped. Well, yeah. We'll get the crack research team on that.
Ring-shaped candies.
Yes. Life preservers.
Life preservers. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, yeah, they're vaguely familiar. But
yeah.
Yeah, and I just find I like mint, but I find the mint one's a little chalky.
Okay.
Especially compared to your other Lifesavers.
Well, I mean, if you play enough hockey, you lose all your teeth, and it doesn't really matter anyway. They go down easier, you're just kind of sucking on them, so maybe it doesn't matter as much.
Yeah. And would you want a mint thing after you've been playing hockey where it's cold? Yeah. Because if you're to believe York peppermint patties, they make you feel cold. So
maybe they should have had flaming hot Lifesavers.
Did they? Might have.
Did they really?
I don't know, but like cinnamon ones.
Yeah, like a ring of fire.
Yeah, ring of fire. Great, get Johnny cashed.
Yeah.
And then we get a kind of interesting Pizza Hut commercial.
Yeah, they didn't reveal what it was, but they're showing all these different menu items, most of which are not available at Pizza Hut, and I didn't remember that they were.
No.
Things like cavatappi pasta and
yeah.
veal parmesan, or I don't know what it was, but there are all these items like you could find there. Yeah, ooh, what a menu. I assumed it was Pizza Hut because what else was advertising nationally back then? Yeah. But I didn't remember them offering all these things, so I'm like, oh, maybe it's somebody else.
Yeah.
But sure enough, no, it's Pizza Hut.
And at the time, there's pre-pan pizza too.
Yeah.
So they just had thin crust and chewy pizza.
Yeah. Pan pizza was really whoever came up with that concept. Yeah. It went out of the park because that's much better than chewy pizza. Yeah.
Even though the chewy, I mean, what they were showing was that's what I would choose over the thin. I think.
Yeah.
Usually, but
right.
And then it was something like Pizza Hut. It's all under our roof or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, the red roof was there.
Yeah, back when they had physical buildings.
Yeah, that weren't like shoe boxes were delivery and carry out only.
Right.
Yeah, it would actually be an event to go to a Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that pizza parlor phenomenon in our Growing Pains episode.
Yeah. But that's it. And then we get her special guest star, Mike Mannix Connors.
Yeah. Formerly Mike Touch Connors, actually, when he was Touch Connors when he started out, I think. But,
Touch Connors.
Yeah, I don't know why exactly, but
I'm going to say that I haven't seen a lot of Mannix. I have an impression of Mannix, which that he's kind of a tough guy. Mm-hmm. I know he gets knocked out a lot.
Yeah.
But, he's like a tough detective or whatever he is. Mm-hmm. Right, he's a private eye, or I know there was a whole weird thing with computer cards. And
the first season he was working for an agency that was all computerized, and then they abandoned that and he just became like kind of more of a conventional private eye.
Okay.
But yeah, you got it. That's Mannix.
Yeah.
And he was on for like 9-10 seasons, I think.
Man. So was it still on at the time of this?
It ended in spring 1975, I believe. So This would be the first season without Mannix. So he was not currently on TV at this point, I think.
So Mike Connors didn't strike me as any of those things.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I see what you mean.
On this show.
Yeah. And
he just seemed like a sort of dapper gentleman.
Right, and the mustache threw me off a little bit because I don't remember him having a mustache on Mannix, and
right.
I wouldn't want him to have a mustache on Mannix.
No,
that's his shows off the air mustache. Yes. Like finally I can grow this mustache.
Right,
that the network wouldn't let me do for years.
And not a great mustache.
No, it wasn't.
I'm tipping our batty hands, maybe, but
yeah. I mean, he might be nominated, but he'd be a long shot to win, I think.
Yeah,
fair to say.
But they go through a little bit where because he played football right before he was an actor, and he's trying to explain football to her.
Yes, and for all the football widows.
Yes, the Monday Night Football.
Yeah, now this is May, and this is on ABC.
Yeah.
So this is kind of with Howard Cosell. It's like the second Monday Night Football reference. But yes, Monday Night Football was huge. And it was Monday Night Football is hated today, but it was hated back then for a different reason. Because people hated Howard Cosell. Now people hate just everything about Monday Night Football, I think. But yeah, it was a big phenomenon at this point.
And it's just the same kind of like wordplay jokes, and she says she plays on a football team with musicians, but and he's like, oh, that seems dangerous. Well, they only want to play touch.
Yeah.
And somewhere, I guess at the end, Mike Connor's coochie coochies.
Yeah.
I think that was the real thing. That just like, oh,
yeah,
Mannix wouldn't do that, would he?
No, I don't think so. I think he would pass on that. I'd like to think, but
maybe to solve a case.
If it was absolutely necessary, if he were undercover,
right, he
could excuse it.
Yeah,
but not as Mannix, not as Joe Mannix wouldn't do that.
Right.
I think you kind of hit on something like because Mike Connors also said he kind of makes an offhand remark like, "Oh, I think I'm going to go join the orchestra,
yes.
So you can play touch football with her."
Yeah.
That's sort of the level of risque nature with Charo.
Yeah.
The outfits are a little revealing sometimes, but not always. They're not. I mean, a lot of times they're skimpy, but they're not. It's sort of that like pre Three's Company titillating kind of thing. Maybe it got a little amplified later, but right now this is sort of like a kind of PG-13ish sort of risque kind of humor that she would do a lot. Sort of suggestive, but not really being overtly sexual. Because again, like her character doesn't really pick up on these things, or she kind of laughs it off.
Yeah.
She's a little bit naive about it, I think.
Right. Yeah. And then he introduces she's going to play the song Granada on her guitar, and that was, I mean, there's not much to say there, but
yeah, it's a nice flamenco guitar performance.
Yeah, with the orchestra playing too, but she's on stage by herself, and I mean, it was really good. Yeah. I don't know what else to.
It's impressive. I mean, if you think she's just like a dumb blonde, that clearly she's not, and she's very skilled at this. So, good for her.
Yeah, and then it's commercial time again. For both of these, might be my favorite commercials.
Oh, really?
Well, there's a Right Guard commercial.
Yeah.
It just it has like a bunch of odd people in it, regretting that they use regular deodorant when they really needed Right Guard double protection.
Yeah.
And like the last person, I don't know what was going on there, but like it's like a guy with like a long white wig and a long white fake mustache and a bowler hat, and he's on a park bench and he just falls over.
Well, I'll have to watch this again because I was unimpressed by this, but you may have revealed hidden layers to this commercial.
I thought I was unimpressed until I started thinking about it just now.
All right.
Well, that was interesting.
Okay.
But Right Guard double protection.
Yeah.
I guess it protects your clothes and your armpits.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
And then the potentially too on the nose for the show.
On the nose?
Well, the Free Spirit back buckle bra from Playtex. So there are two women. I don't know where they are. I mean, I didn't pick up on that. And I kind of rewatched it a little bit, and I still didn't. I don't know if they're in a store and they're trying on clothes or what. But I swear the one, not the one who needs this bra, but the one who recommends this bra, is wearing a jumpsuit with dollar signs on the breasts.
That's interesting.
Like a denim jumpsuit, but like dollar signs written on with a pen or something. Now, what?
I don't know.
You're getting fashion advice from her?
Yeah, that seems a little bizarre. Like the female equivalent of Martin Lesko.
Yes. So the other woman is wearing like a sweater, and neither of them like how it looks because you can see all the bumps and stuff from the bra straps.
Mm-hmm.
And so her friend steps off camera and brings in like half a mannequin with this other bra on it.
Right.
That like straps in the back, buckles in the back, and it so you don't get any of that stuff. Natural, but not naked.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's a good combination.
Yeah.
This is the kind of like demonstration kind of ad that you don't see anymore.
Right.
Like sort of like that we haven't talked a lot about this, but like in the 70s and 80s, you get like people being genuine or acting genuine about being enthusiastic, like everyday people being enthusiastic about a product and showing you how it works, kind of like, like things like that, whether it be toilet paper, paper towels, all those kind of things. Like a lot of the ads were people showing hey, here's how you do it. And then people reacting with wonder. And I guess I kind of miss that. You don't really see that as much anymore.
No, there are some weird, like cleaning product commercials I've seen that are a little bit like that. But it's just like one person kind of in voiceover explaining how it works. But it's like, there's no music. It's just like, do you have a dirty floor? This is how you do it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not like a OxyClean or something. It's like a product from a big company.
Right.
They're just strange.
Yeah, and I like these slice of life commercials where you just go in on somebody like and two people meet in a store, or just like a stranger goes up to somebody else and says, "Oh, you don't want that, you want this," you know?
Right? Yeah, they're like, the bounty lady, or the
Mr. Whipple,
Mr. Whipple, the palm olive lady.
Yeah,
I never understood what was going on there.
Right. Another reason television was better back then, folks. And also, let me thank you on behalf of myself and all the listeners of the show.
Yes.
See, folks, Mike may not have spent 30 seconds to look up who sang Love Will Keep Us Together, but he selflessly rewatched this bra commercial again and again and again and again until he found out what was going on there. And I thank you for that, sir. It was such dedication.
I only watched it twice.
Okay.
The second time I didn't have the sound on. For reasons that make sense to me, but I was checking it for something else, and the slogan came up in a graphic, so I didn't need the sound.
That's good. Well, I totally missed that detail, so I'm glad you. Yeah. That's all I'm saying is I appreciate that you did that.
Yeah, but you don't really see like at least that kind of bra commercial anymore either.
No.
That just like that this is a functional item.
Yeah.
It's just the Victoria's Secrets kind of thing.
Right.
You don't see the other Playtex ones with the actress, the Howard Hughes actress.
Oh, Jane Russell?
Yeah, like Jane Russell, the 18-hour bra commercial.
Right. Yeah, you see like you go like Victoria's Secret, which are totally like blatantly sexual.
Yes.
Or you'll see like something where you see like an animated rendition of of like a bra or something like that, and if anything.
Now let me say, the hand gesture you were making. Or like a Fruit of the Loom, kind of just like, here's what regular girls wear. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, back
to the show.
And probably the most to talk about, I guess.
Yeah.
Like this long, slightly bizarre sketch.
Yeah. Charo at home, huh?
Yeah.
With Frank DeVol.
Right, rehearsing.
Yeah.
Because she's got to go to the studio later.
Mm-hmm.
And Kugat calls.
Yeah, Kugat. I like how she keeps referring to him as Kugat.
Yeah. And there are a bunch of jokes about she spent too much money. He says the bank account's overdrawn, and she's like, that's not possible. There are 12 checks in the checkbook, and she's only written 10.
Yeah, exactly.
And this kid just shows up. I don't remember why the kid showed up.
He's just like
he's paper boy.
Paper boy, and he's and she owes him money too. She's delivering a paper.
Yeah.
Door to door, apparently, like ringing it's good service.
Well, probably other doors he just throws a paper at, but
yeah. Charo, he gets
Mrs. Kugat.
Maybe I'll stop over and chat a little bit.
Yeah.
Plus, it might be a wealthy neighborhood. He might get good tips and stuff. So
yeah, maybe the house is way too far from the road to just toss a paper.
I could. And this kid, I don't think he had no other credits.
Okay.
So he's not. I don't think he's Charo's real son or anything.
I think he probably was like, I don't think I can get any better than this.
Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna be a paper boy.
Yeah.
Maybe he fell in love with being a paper boy and decided to make a living that way instead of acting. Like his parents pushed him in thinking he'd be an actor, and he no, I want to be a paper boy. Are you kidding?
Look what happens when you're a paper boy.
That was the best experience of my life. Okay, we'll sign you up for acting. No. Delivering papers. I love it.
He says he has like an American history test to study for.
Yeah. This is clearly a paper boy with quite a relationship with his clientele.
Yeah.
Not so the impersonal paper boys you have today that just drive around and throw papers out of vans or whatever. This kid, he's getting some mentorship from Charo.
Right. And Charo's like, says she's going to help him with American history, which Frank DeVol is very skeptical of. Mm-hmm. And then she starts to talk about George and Martha Washington, and we get this sketch. So Mike Connors, mustache and all, is playing George Washington.
Yeah.
Benedict Arnold apparently is his butler.
Yeah. Hey, at first I thought, well, maybe because as a condition of losing the Revolutionary War, Benedict Arnold had to become George Washington's butler.
Wait, let me write that down.
I don't think they explain that explicitly in the sketch, but that's how I kind of felt
NBC. Sitcom pitch. Like, they got a lot of mileage out of it, him being Benedict Arnold. Like, George Washington walks in and hands him his coat, and he just drops it.
Yeah.
Because, of course, he's Benedict Arnold.
Yeah. It's funny, like, as far as, like, a punchline in TV history, Benedict Arnold has to be right up there with George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. I mean, if you I can't think of any other specific examples off the top of my head, but I just get the impression that, if you learn American history by watching network TV, would be a good way to learn it, you'd think Benedict Arnold was like one of the most important figures in history, right?
Right.
He's clearly the most famous trader at that time, but you're right. Yeah, they definitely ride that Benedict Arnold train for all they can get.
Oh, yeah. He also shows George Washington a natural look wig.
Yeah.
Which is like it's still white, but it's like an afro, which is a very of its time joke.
Yeah.
I get the whole thing. I wasn't thinking about the bicentennial thing, but that clearly is on the mind of the show.
Yes.
Or the writers. And then we get the incomprehensible Martha Washington.
Yes, he introduces that, which is funny.
And she's got the big wig and the little glasses, and their neighbor comes over. This is Paul Revere.
Yeah. Well, yes, Mrs. Paul Revere. Yeah.
She needs a couple chairs because Paul just called and the British are coming.
Yes.
Which I actually paused it and wrote that down before. I didn't have the exact joke, but I knew the British were coming.
Yeah. And this is Beatrice Colin, not sure how you put it, but she played Marcia, one of the most prominent bellhops on Happy Days, original Happy Days. So, and she was in a lot of other stuff back then.
She looked familiar. Yeah,
she died very young, unfortunately. But yeah.
I also get the town crier, which is a little weird.
Yes.
Was that was Frank DeVol again?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of enjoyed the visual guy. Like they open the curtains and there was the lower frame of the window was framed like a TV.
Yeah.
And he was just there delivering this news, but it was just like Martha had said things to the press that were embarrassing.
Yeah.
I don't know where exactly what the jumping off point there was.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Martha Washington, she's a gossip. Of course, it's Charo telling the history, so I guess it's just weird.
Yeah.
And I think they say it's 1775.
Okay.
At some point. But anyway, it's before George Washington is president, but they want him to be president. So that really, it shouldn't be 1775.
Yeah, there's some discrepancies here. But
yeah, that's Charo.
Yeah.
But like she said, that she's worried what her daughter is going to have an affair, or her son is going to have an affair, or something.
Bruce Valanche is normally a stickler for historic detail, but he was only one of 6 credited writers, so he might have been outvoted in the writers' room.
Right. I think he might have been detailed to other parts of the show.
Yeah.
Like the football segment or something.
Yeah.
There was another inflation joke somewhere in there. And then we go back to the outside the story, and Charo very tenderly sings "America the Beautiful."
Yes.
To and then with Jimmy. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. Yeah,
she kind of like establishes like, hey, she says something like, I might have been joking around a little bit about history, but I'm proud to be a citizen, American citizen, and everything like that.
Right. Yeah.
So kind of affirming, hey, Charo's not really making fun of us.
That's right.
Which we make fun of her enough that she would certainly have the right, I would think, to make fun of the United States history.
It's a right as an American citizen to make fun of American history.
Yes. Was that the Sixth Amendment? The right to make fun of U.S. history?
Right. And then we get actually a bunch of commercials.
Yeah, a nice little block here. And by a bunch, we mean 4. But
4, yes.
Compared to the other breaks, this is pretty extensive, yeah.
So one is for a GE dishwasher.
Yeah.
That, washes pots.
Back when GE made things.
Yes.
It was a name brand that let's get a GE.
And, it's really interesting that the guy talking about it, like the dishwasher is not hooked up and it's not under a counter.
No.
He's showing you the not the innards, but the stuff you don't see of a dishwasher because it's in the counter. Yeah. Except for near where we work, there were for 2 weeks there was a dishwasher sitting on an island.
Yeah.
Why?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Maybe it fell out of a truck and someone just propped it up, but it seemed like someone stopped this very inconvenient spot.
Yeah. Usually when you hear somebody say, oh, the dishwasher fell off the back of a truck, you're getting a new dishwasher.
Right, yeah.
That wasn't what happened in this case. In this case, it'd be like it fell off the back of a truck. You'd be like, oh, it really looks like it fell off the back of a truck.
Yeah.
Literally.
And we get an ad for One-A-Day supplement.
Yeah.
Was that Jane Curtin? Or was I just imagining that was Jane Curtin?
Oh, I didn't think it was, but I'm pretty sure it was not.
Okay.
But I'll have to go back and look at it again. But I don't think so.
Because I thought it was, and it seemed like an odd choice.
Okay, I just thought of her as kind of a,
Actress.
Yeah, just sort of a pitched woman type,
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say
she
generic,
looked a little
like
like Jane Curtin.
Okay, yeah, I'll see.
But, I don't know why.
Yeah.
She would have been doing...
That would have been something,
1976, that would have been like the first summer after, SNL started in 75?
Yeah, so this would have been pretty much was the ramping up. I mean, it's not inconceivable, but...
Chevy Chase is running off to do movies.
Yeah.
Jane Curtin's doing
one-a-day
very serious vitamin supplement commercials.
Yeah. Well, maybe she had a long-term contract with them that just couldn't be broken.
Maybe.
And, they had to put up with it to get her on the show. She was worth it.
Yeah. Those commercials used to be on all the time, too.
One-a-day vitamin.
One-a-day.
Yeah. I didn't know it was around that long.
And Geritol.
Yeah, okay. Didn't John Belushi used to do Geritol commercials?
Yes.
Yeah.
He just was like cramming them.
Yeah, shoving them all down his mouth. Yeah. Geritol!
I wake up in the morning, I need a boost. But the next one, okay, maybe this was his best commercial.
Yeah.
Or a sitcom I don't remember ever hearing of.
Yeah.
Viva Valdez.
Viva Valdez.
Yeah. I don't remember anything about it, though.
No, I mean, it was maybe like a 15-second promo, if that.
Yeah.
I think it was a very short one, but yeah, just a Latino family. That's it, pretty much. I think this is the time where that was the pitch.
Yeah.
Let's do a show that'll appeal to, this whole urban/ethnic thing we've got going on here.
Right. Is it multi-generational? It seemed like maybe there was...
Yes, I think it was. We'll get the crack research team on that. Viva Valdez.
Yes. And then a commercial for the Bionic Woman featuring ghosts.
Yeah, that looked like an interesting episode, didn't it?
Yeah.
Not so interesting that I have more to say about it, but it's a very interesting promo.
I hope they're bionic ghosts.
Ooh, bionic ghosts.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's pretty much the end.
Yeah, they go back to Mike Connors comes out again, and they sort of do close the show, and they did make a reference to the bicentennial minutes.
Yes, and she wants to commemorate something that happened 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Kugat's birth.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about what I'd like to see. The bicentennial minutes. We might have mentioned those before, but it seemed like those are kind of hard to find, and I wish somebody would upload a bunch of those. They were like short segments that appeared throughout the bicentennial year. I think they were on CBS, but just little things about pieces of American history, and it was a big thing. You'll see a lot of references to them, and then they weren't re-aired because they were just meant for the bicentennial year. So, but I've kind of searched around for them online, and it seems like they're rarer than you would think. Maybe because they would be just not attached to a show, but they'd be part of a commercial block. But I'm surprised they don't show up more often.
If somebody can do a cut of every guest star in canon,
yes,
somebody could do a cut of all of these.
I agree. They should, as a matter of fact. That's what America's all about.
That phrase should become the new, if you can put a man on the moon.
Yeah.
You can do a cut of every guest star in canon. You can put a man on the moon.
But yeah, that's Charo, and I think very conventional kind of variety stuff for its time.
The half-hour thing is really weird.
Yeah, it seems very short.
Yeah.
You basically have a couple of musical numbers and one sketch, and then these little in-between stage bits. But
the Mike Connors part just seems a little odd. Like, why is that the guest?
Yeah.
Like, why not get a guest who can do a duet or something?
Yeah. Now, what I don't know is, I wonder... I mean, I'm assuming this was prepared as a 30-minute show. I don't know. It's possible. Maybe it was an hour long and they edited it down.
Yeah.
That seems a little extreme. I don't know why they would do that, but
no.
Didn't seem like they really believed in it, though.
No.
And we would have seen more of these if it did particularly well. So I don't know. Maybe the John Davidson show clobbered it that night.
That's a real variety show.
Yeah.
If you can watch an hour with John Davidson, why are you going to watch half hour with Charo?
Yeah.
Who knows? Charo might have been a guest on the...
I'll bet she was, yeah.
I mean, he might, maybe that week. It's counter-programming.
Yeah, well, I do think I might have seen enough Charo to last me a while.
Yeah.
Between the Fantasy Islands, the Love Boats. But
there's a lot of Charo.
It's cool to show up, and it's a little bit different on if you see her like on Fantasy Island because there's multiple stories going on, and she's just kind of like one part of that. But it's still interesting.
But, and again, credit due. On the surface, you could think of her almost like some of the celebrities we have now. Like, just like being famous for being famous. But she actually has talent to back up.
Yeah.
And she did. Whoever, again, came up with the concept of this persona certainly vaulted her to a kind of celebrity she probably wouldn't have had just being a performer in Xavier Cugat's orchestra.
Yes, I think you're right. I mean, she was almost the quintessential famous for being famous, but she worked her way up like as an actual performer and entertainer in show business, and then she somehow became this phenomenon, especially in the, I guess, late 60s and 1970s, so into the early 80s, and I guess at some point in the late 80s, she, stopped appearing everywhere and just kind of tailed off, but she's still around, still works, but and you'll still see her on talk shows and things like that, and as a guest star. And I think she was on The Surreal Life one year. Talk about fame and reality today and everything like that. She was on that show,
right?
And she seems game and enthusiastic. And I think I haven't seen one of her live shows, but I imagine she gives people what she wants and probably makes them go home happy.
Yeah, I bet so. Probably it's longer than half an hour.
Yeah, and no commercial breaks in the middle of it.
Exactly. There might be a break, a costume break, costume changes and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I bet she's got a good band or orchestra with her, and she does a little light comedy.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of appeal to her back then, and what I don't know is, you could argue, was she genuinely popular, or did it just become a thing to have her on, and maybe people got tired of her? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's possible, but I think she was always a little bit of a punchline, but she was in on the punchline, she made lots of money, so good for her.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a punchline, make a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right. Adios.
This episode brought to you by the Free Spirit Back Buckle Bra from Playtex. Natural, not naked. This episode also brought to you by Ace Cannon Plays the Hits of Charo on saxophone. Available on LP and cassette tape. This episode also brought to you by Gucci Gucci. Join us next time for another exciting episode of Battle of the Network Shows. Learn more, leave feedback, and suggest future episodes at battleofthenetworkshows.com. Follow us on Twitter at BatNetShows and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Battle of the Network Shows.